welcome back to Life Enrichment with Hank Ballinger. Today we are going to talk about luck. Now, a lot of times we use that word various ways. Good luck today, or man, that was good luck, or just various ways that we think of luck. And I think probably different people have different ideas or connotation about what luck is and how it works. But anyway, we want to talk about that today. Before we get into that, again, thank you to those who watch the channel. If you can, hit the like button, subscribe. It really helps us on our algorithm. So also, if you can, share us with others on Facebook. That really helps. We do really appreciate it. Our goal is to help as many people possible set goals in life and achieve those goals, whatever those goals are. You can do that. So reach for the stars, as Casey Kasem. For those of you who are older, you remember Casey Kasem had America Top 40. Every week he counted down the top 40 hits, and at the end he would say, keep reaching for the stars. You can do it. Now, what is luck? Now, in today's time, a lot of people will say, oh, the universe. You ask the universe, or you just keep praying to the universe or asking the universe for something, and eventually the universe will give that to you. Well, the universe is an inanimate object. Just like any other planets, all the planets in the universe are inanimate objects. If there are trees on any of those, which I doubt it because generally you need water for trees, but we have never found a planet with water on it, though they say there's some. They've never proved it, so we can't prove that there would be any kind of life on any other planet. We have never found life on any other planet. So as far as we know, everything in the universe other than what's on Earth is inanimate. How can an inanimate object help us in any way? So these people that appeal to the universe, I would take a little bit of an idea that that's not good or that's not right, because the universe is inanimate. It can't think, it can't reason, it can't help you. So don't appeal to the universe. I would say that there is a God, and in my estimation, He can help. But a lot of times in life, God expects us to help ourselves. So that's one of the things that we try to do on this channel, is encourage people to help themselves. I'm not saying God can't help, but I'm saying we must really put out a good effort to help ourselves. So with that idea, there are also cards, dice, pool tables. Now, for those of you who may be a little older, and you may remember my mom's mom, she always said, you can't bring dice in this house. You can't have cards. So she wouldn't like a pool table. Those are just things that back then was associated with certain type people, and you just didn't have them in your house. If you were a good person, you didn't have them. But again, I think of these things just like the universe. They're inanimate. They can't be good or bad. Anything that can be good or bad has to be judged, in my understanding. So this is neither good nor bad. It's just the universe. These are neither good nor bad, but dice can't help you to build wealth. Now, some people may say, well, I went to Vegas and won a lot of money throwing dice. That's true. Some people can. But that, if you look at the odds, the majority of people that throw those dice lose money. Always have, always will. That's because the odds are on the house. The house, most of the time, wins the money. If the house ever got a game in Vegas where the house most of the time lost money, that game would not remain in Vegas for very long. The odds are on the house. So these things can't be good or bad. They're just things. So when we look at luck, some people would look at luck and say, well, that's a mysterious force that causes good or bad things to happen in your life. I would take maybe a little offense to that too. Not that I'm trying to encourage people that you have to listen to me on philosophy. I'm not a philosopher, although I have studied philosophy in some detail. But when we think about this, what is luck? Some people think of it as a mysterious force. We really don't know what it is. It just happens. Well, now let's look at that. What about if that were true, and you see somebody else that just has all kinds of money, has all kinds of cars and big houses, they have all kinds of stuff, and you don't? Well, then luck, this mysterious object, does it like them better? Well, no, remember, it's just a mysterious, it's not a living thing, it's just a luck. Well, then how did it favor them over you? So I don't agree that luck, a mysterious force, favored them over you, or favored you over them, or favored you over somebody else. I don't believe in luck that way. Let me show you what, in my opinion, what I think luck is. Good luck. It is good circumstance or good planning. Now, let's say that you go out here and you say, hey, I'm going to build a house, and you do the blueprints and you do all the calculations, you put it on paper, and you go do the nth degree for the design, the nth degree on the math. Everything you do, you go really, really, really good, and you plan as much as you can, and then you build that house, and it's awesome. And then as soon as you get it built, a big earthquake happens, and that house comes tumbling down. Now, there was good planning. The planning was good, but the circumstances were bad. During the building, all the circumstances were good. Good weather, maybe. Didn't rain much. Good location. You got down on bedrock. Everything was good. But the circumstances after that earthquake, you can't plan. So sometimes there are bad circumstances, even though you may plan well. Now, you may plan well and have great circumstances, and you can build wealth, or you can set goals and accomplish those goals much easier, because not only is the planning good, but the circumstances are good. So if you have good planning and good circumstances, it really helps. Now, let's say the market's going up, getting ready to go up, and you buy stock. You do a lot of, I'm not a stock guy, I don't really like the stock market, but let's say you buy stock, you've done a lot of research, you've studied, and you see this company, and you buy that stock, and it goes parabolic. It just goes to the moon, and you bought it down here. Well, now, as you look at that stock, you think, man, I did really good. You planned well, and the circumstances were great. And that thing just took off, and you made all kinds of money. But let's look at another type. Let's say you did the exact same type planning. You planned the exact same way. And about the time you got ready and you put your money down on that stock, and the very next day something happens, maybe like Russia invades Ukraine. And just because Russia invaded Ukraine, maybe what you invested in was the commodities market, or what's called the COMEX. Maybe you invested in commodities, in wheat. Well, Ukraine is the third biggest exporter of wheat worldwide, and Russia is the world's biggest exporter of wheat. And the last year or so, last 2 years, neither one has exported wheat. Well, if you had invested in wheat, you probably would have taken a haircut massively, but your planning was good, but the circumstances were bad. And sometimes you cannot plan for these, not all the circumstances that could happen. Now, some people would say that's luck. I would agree, but it's just our understanding of what luck is. We can't always control the circumstances. The planning we can control. So you always need to plan well. So good luck is good planning and having good circumstances. Now, you could still do well. If you plan well and have bad circumstances, you could maybe put a lot of contingencies in. I'm going to do this, but now if this happens, then I can do this. Your pre-planning may help even when bad circumstances come along. You plan well, and then you say, oh, if this happens, then I'm going to do this. But now if this thing over here happens, I don't want these things to happen. But when they do, I am ready. And then when they do, when those bad circumstances happen, you're ready, you're poised, you do this, and then you capitalize even more because of bad circumstances. Let me give you an illustration. In the stock market, again, I'm not a stock market guy, don't really like the stock market, but sometimes the stock market goes up and people make money. And sometimes the stock market goes down, and you know what? People make money. You can do what's called shorting the market. If you short the market, you bet against the market and you say, I'll bet this stock goes down in value. And if it does go down in value, you make money. It's called shorting the market. Now, is that good planning? Yeah. Or it could just be planning. But if the market goes down, like the housing crash of 2008 and 9, where several people made billions of dollars because the market went down and they had shorted the market, like Steve Burry made, or Michael Burry. Michael Burry made a bunch of money because he shorted the market before the crash and he made a lot of money. Now, good luck, I think, is good planning and good circumstance. Now, if you plan well and allow for a lot of contingencies, there may be some bad circumstances and you still capitalize on that. Now, let's look at bad luck. Bad luck, in my estimation, is bad planning and bad circumstances. You know, sometimes you may plan really, really poorly. Bad. Your planning is terrible. And then things just come up and you didn't plan well, you didn't allow for this, this. And then when things bad happen, people look at you and say, oh man, that's just bad luck. No, that one there was kind of bad planning. Now, we've all done that. It happens. It's hard to plan for everything, but our planning needs to really be, that's why the book is called Think and Grow Rich. It's not haphazardly grow rich. That doesn't happen. But good planning and bad planning really affects what happens in our lives. So bad planning can really affect your life. Now, bad planning and bad circumstances is a double whammy that is really, really hard to come out of. If you plan poorly and there's bad circumstances, which your planning was bad anyway, and now the bad circumstances just kind of piles on top of it, it's really hard to come out of that. That's bad luck. But what is luck? The planning and the circumstance. So if you have bad luck, it could be your bad planning, or it could be the bad circumstance, or it could be a combination of both. Now, have people done this? Have people planned really poorly and then end up having good circumstance and still building wealth or setting goals and accomplishing those goals? Yes. There have been people that have really planned poorly, but because of good circumstance came their way, they still made it. It can happen. Don't plan on it. Don't wait on it. Don't wait for the circumstance to make your goals happen or build your wealth. You need to plan well as possible. Really do a lot of planning. Put a lot of time into it, a lot of effort, because you don't want to depend on good circumstances. What if they're bad circumstances? But it has happened. Like I said, there have been people who have planned very poorly, and because of good circumstances, they have still built wealth, or they have accomplished goals because of good circumstances. But don't depend on it. Now, bad circumstances, bad planning can be profitable. These are the tough ones, and these are the ones that you look at somebody and you're like, how in the world did that happen? They planned extremely poorly. Their circumstances were awful, and yet they still made it. Well, sometimes things happen, but sometimes we look at those circumstances and we say, well, yeah, but just like people shorting the market, maybe they short the market and it's not really the market, but sometimes when one thing goes up in a market, another thing goes down. It's really hard to see that. If you short the housing market like the 2008 and 9 and it goes down, that's a little easy to see. When you short something because, and by all metrics of the stock market, it should have gone up, but because this one over here goes up and these are what's called adversely correlated, You couldn't see that, but this one goes up and this one goes down. That's bad circumstance, but you still profit. You did short it. It was bad planning. You couldn't see this, so it's bad planning, and it was bad circumstances for a lot of people, but just so happened you were in what they call the right spot at the right time. Again, you don't want to trust building your wealth or setting your goals and accomplishing those goals on the right place at the right time. Because a lot of times you may be at the airport when your ship comes in. You're just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, some of life's greatest failures have been the birth of some of life's greatest successes. How many people out there do you have a microwave oven? Most people have them, and we most of the time use those things every single day. Do you realize the microwave was invented from a mistake? They were trying to do something else, and actually a guy had this invention that they were working on in his office, and he laid a candy bar on the counter, and when he turned that microwave on and it did its thing, and they didn't have it encased like we have them today, so these microwaves were going all over in him and in everything. Not healthy, but nonetheless, he had a candy bar on the counter, turned the microwave on, it did its thing, and he's looking around to see, well, this is what's working. Picked his candy bar up and it was melted. And he was like, why in the world is my candy bar melted? Then he got to thinking, well, maybe it was something this invention that I'm working on did. Then he got to realize that the microwave melted the candy bar. Voila, the microwave. Many inventions have been invented by mistake. There's one recently that I'm a bit of a geek in science, so there's one recently called hygroelectric. Not hydro. Hydro is water. This is called hygroelectric. Now, just basically put, if you put a bunch of little holes in an object, a lot of different objects, many objects that they're coming up with, it could be a fly, it could be an element. And if you put really, really, really small holes in those substances, and I'm talking small holes like about 1,000th of the width of a human hair, very, very small holes. What happens is moisture gets down in those cracks and electrons come off of the water in that air, and it causes like a battery effect. Positive electrons on the top, negative on the bottom, and then if you put something close enough, the electrons jump and causes a spark, which is electricity. That was by mistake. They discovered that. Now, how are these discoveries made? People are working on something, sometimes working on one thing and discover something else. That could happen to you. Sometimes when we make a mistake, but here's the key point. They're out there trying something, they're trying to do something, and they accomplish something else. But at least they're trying. If you will go out there, whatever you want to call luck, I think it's good circumstances, good planning, bad circumstances, bad planning. Plan well. Hopefully you have the best of circumstances, and you can become redneck rich. See you on the next video.